Wow, sitting, hanging out, talking during the commercials. Okay, so you guys, we watched our first guest grow up on the shows Laguna Beach and the Hills, and now she's a fashion designer and an author. Her new book, Sweet Little Lies, is already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Please welcome Lauren Conrad. Okay, I find the whole thing fascinating because I watched Laguna. There you go.
Hi.
Your fans are here, but I watched Laguna Beach and the Hills with my mom and my nieces, and we were all into it. What do you remember from that experience of Laguna Beach? When you first got involved in it, you must have had no idea. There was really no anything to relate it to, or.
No, I think that we had no idea what we were getting into, and I don't think that the producers even really knew. It was kind of, they were trying to do something new where they wanted to do a reality show, but they wanted it to look scripted. So they were kind of learning as they went along.
But how did they find your life to be fascinating and say, we want you? I mean, obviously you're a cute young girl, and you know, you were very sweet on the show. We all fell in love with you. And did they approach you at school and they said, we're going to follow you around with cameras, or were you already interested in going into this business?
No, not at all. They came to our high school, and me and a couple of the girls were in ASB, and they came to our ASB class first, and they started talking, and they were like, we're interested in doing a TV show. And so I remember I was with Lo in class, and she was like, we got to get on this. We got to do it.
Lo's always, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we were 17 at the time, and it just sounded fun. But yeah, they were like, we want to do a documentary on a group of friends. And I remember they kind of did interviews and selected a group of kids and sat us in a room, and they were like, so here's what we want to do. And we were like, if we sneak out at night, do we like call you? Or like, we didn't know what we were supposed to do. So
yeah, because if it's going to be supposedly a reality show, you wonder how much you let them know about what's real. But during the time, it didn't start airing until after a lot of it was done, right, that first season?
I think that they had finished filming, or they were just finishing up filming right when it was starting to air.
So then you start to see the effects of it and also see how you're portrayed.
Yes, that was very interesting. I think that, you know, we went into it and they were like, it's a small town, it's a group of friends. And then it was like, I remember the first ads came out and it was like, they're really this rich and beautiful. And we were like, what?
Yeah, because you were just kids in high school. You weren't in the movie industry. And
No. And I think they did that OC spin on it where it was like a bunch of spoiled kids. And we were like, whoops.
And we also saw you, well, you did go through a lot of heartache on the show because you had the boyfriend, a couple of boyfriends that didn't work out, and we all kind of went through that with you. But don't you feel like if you look back at that, is it hard to look at, or is it like, gosh, I got some really valuable lessons at probably the exact right time in my life?
Yeah, I think that I was going through what anyone at 20 goes through. You know, you make mistakes, and it was hard to watch it. You know, it was almost like going through it again, and you'd be like, oh, that was really hard. But, you know, you grow with everyone, and it was kind of cool because it was like a really large support system where people would come up and be like, my boyfriend did that too, and it was, in a way, it was kind of cool to go through it that way.
Yeah, because that was a big deal when you decided not to go with the job opportunity and to stay in town because this boy said to you, it was Jason, right?
Yes.
That said, if you leave, it's over, but stay with me. And you were like, okay, and then it ended up not working out with him.
No, very
We were all screaming at the TV.
I know. That was just, I was in that time of my life where all that mattered was my boyfriend, and looking back, it was pretty silly.
No, that was normal.
Was it though? I look back and I'm like, I was such an idiot.
You were so young, and I totally understood because you had ideals, you know, and that's different than what's real. And it was just like, you know, I could lose this if I leave, but of course, if it's real, you don't lose it if you leave. It just gets better and you work together on it. Yeah. So when you decided to leave the Hills, I want to see if we still have time. When you decided to leave the Hills, was that a big deal? But you were ready, right? Wasn't enough of your own life out there?
Yeah, I think that I was ready for the last 2 years that I filmed. I was at that point where I was like, you know what, I could stop doing this and be okay. But I think that when you're doing a show like this, you have a responsibility to everyone else on the show. And we were at a point where I was like, if I leave, are they going to keep going? Because everyone else was trying to build careers off of it, and they weren't ready to end. So I left at a point where I knew the show would continue on and everyone could keep doing it, but I could kind of duck out of there. But
wasn't it confusing it wasn't really your career, it was a reality show. Well, we watch you pursuing a career, but it turned into one. Being on the show actually did.
Yeah.
How do you decide to leave that? I mean, did you ever think, I have to keep this going because being on this show is my career, even though that's not how it's portrayed?
Sometimes, yeah. I think that there was times where I was like, everything else I'm doing that I really love is supported by the show. But I think that you come to a point where you're like, am I happy doing this every day? Because
there's cameras around a
Yeah.
lot of the time. You
It's-
always have a body mic on, so everybody can hear.
you just at the end of the day have to be like, can I keep doing the things I love without this? And I think I was at a point where I was like, I can do the writing and the designing and all that, and I don't have to keep doing the show.
Right, you didn't need that as a platform. That many years being on a reality show, does it make you self-conscious in a way that's good, where you think before you speak, or?
You pick yourself apart a little, like your
Right.
weird habits and things you do, and in a way it's kind of nice because you get to see other people's point of view where you're like, okay, maybe I was wrong there, maybe I was harsh. So it's kind of a self-improvement too.
Yeah, I think, if you're watching alone, you were watching it with the whole country. Okay,
Yeah.
more with Lauren when we come back. We'll catch up with what she's doing.